So, when you think back to some of your favorite games, what do you usually think about? Do you think about that huge set piece where two characters clash in an intense scene? Or what about a character's pivotal moment in their arc? Or even just the active gameplay experience? While it's easy to remember the biggest moments of any particular game, if the experience was just those moments, it'd be kind of exhausting, wouldn't it? Games can't always be at 100% tempo. Granted, games usually have a gameplay loop, but on a macro level, games need those breaks in the action. Different genres can do this any number of ways, but one way RPGs help solve this issue is with their towns. I love a lot of RPG towns, usually a combination of good music, chill vibes, and fun NPCs. Good towns offer a reprieve from the stress of the main quest, some safety from battle, and a moment to go customize your characters. Some games use their towns as centerpieces for the characters to talk to each other, to build relationships. Others might use them and their mood to greater effect the narrative at large. The amount of effort that goes into the greats is a lot, and it might not seem like it at first glance. So much effort goes into the research of culture, characterizing the dialogue of NPCs, and even the music that's playing can shine through to make these places feel truly lived in. Some of these might be a bit generic, and others might not be very reactive to the world state of each game, but I really enjoy coming back to them every so often. It can be nice to return every once in a while, to relax and smell the roses. Sometimes I just return to a particular title, just to sit in a specific vibe that the town offers. This isn't strictly limited to turn-based RPGs. Other games use this framing as well to great results. Here's some of my favorites. Valkyrie Profile is a title that is wrought with ruin. Midgard has so many people living on only the bare essentials, trapped in a realm of conflict. Ragnarok is close approaching, and it throws the world into chaos, entrapping it in war. A late PlayStation 1 game, it uses its immaculate backgrounds to fill the scene with so much detail, while also using its lack of color to deprive the world of its life. It's a gorgeous, fantastic game, but it might catch you off guard if you don't know much going in. Most of the people and towns in this game aren't super successful at providing a reprieve in the tone, rather using it to instill the despair of current humanity.
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh.
For real though, its melancholy seeps through every area of its presentation. If you go to Hai Lan, it's a town that is a bit separated from the rest of the world, but the tone still persists here, although not as thick. The world's doom still affects the town, and it has some depressing stories associated with it. However, the town does still have some life here, and some do live in peace. The music here is also great, with some hope infused with some obvious cultural influence. It gets better though. If you go deeper into the town, you wind up in this secluded spot. This screen is a special place for me. Separated from the rest of the world, this beach is so lovely. The sound of the waves hitting the sand, the light seeping through the trees, it's just pristine. It's a piece of nature that is the perfect place to disconnect, to relax. It's such a simple place. I love spending time here. Final Fantasy has a storied history with great environments and towns, with areas like Treno in FF9 and Fisherman's Horizon in FF8, but Final Fantasy XIV has an insane amount of areas that are just a vibe to be in. Granted, it being an MMO makes these designed a bit differently than regular RPGs, but they serve as cool vistas, have great music, and a lot of cool spots to just relax in, or a meetup spot for friends. In particular, I like the main hubs of Shadowbringers and Endwalker the most, with those being the Crystarium and Old Sharlayan respectively. In Shadowbringers, the main cast is flung into a world on the brink of collapse. Here, there was a nearly complete calamity that ravaged this world in the form of light. It drove everyone who lived here into a few remaining settlements under never-ending daylight. The Crystarium is one of the final cities remaining, and for a while, it offers some reprieve from the dangers and trauma of the outside world. This city is full of life, self-sustaining, resilient, and full of character. People of all walks of life band together because it's all they have. I love a lot of spots in the city. The inn is extremely cozy, the library is warm and inviting, and the underground botany research area is cool looking, but the music wraps this up perfectly. It's just a slam dunk in instilling this hope that runs throughout the city. Hope that, as long as we stick together, we can live lives with meaning. Endwalker's town, on the other hand, is an absolute comfort place. Old Sharlayan is a city-state that has remained independent for most of the world, being very impartial when it comes to politics. So when you do finally get to come here, it's a secluded paradise. They have their own worries, of course, but this is an ideal city. There's this pier to just sit and gaze at the ocean. There are plenty of cliff faces to get a good view of the city. It's just an immaculate zone. The statue of the woman holding the Ewer is a gorgeous centerpiece, defining this area as one of its most memorable. The music track, which fuses some of Endwalker's leitmotifs into it, never fails to give me chills. Endwalker as a whole has its moments of despair and seriousness, but Old Sharlayan is the ultimate place to unwind, to take a breather from all of its events. Even with its aged roots and limitations, the fact that Final Fantasy XIV can deliver spaces like this against its modern-day contemporaries is a testament to its art design and execution. Let's move on to the 7th gen of consoles. Ew. Xenoblade is a franchise that, other than 2, doesn't have a lot of typical towns in them. Rather, they tend to have pretty big singular towns, full of dozens of NPCs and quests. My favorite is the very first one in Xenoblade 1, Colony 9. Colony 9, and the zone around it, is one of my favorite areas in the entire franchise, and is the quintessential beginning RPG zone. Most of the enemies are non-threatening, it has some gorgeous vistas, and it gets even better during nighttime. All of these lights come on and it just looks so nice. While everything looks nice, it sounds even nicer. The city has a track that is just so soothing. The track is so smart in its usage of primary instruments, never using all of them at once, letting each have their breathing room and their own time to shine. It has a nice alt version with the nighttime version, which is even more chilled out and mellow. When you leave the town, you have a track that is specific to the wilderness, more peppy, more active, still instilling this safe yet adventurous track that also rules super hard. I love this OST so much. Regardless, the story's events begin here, and has all of the typical events that usually define these kinds of games. It's got childhood friends in Shulk, Rein, and Fiora. The town is initially idealistic, and the town gets attacked with game-lasting ramifications, enacting the call to action for our protagonists. While those ramifications do shape Colony 9 to be slightly different, the town stays relatively intact and remains the ideal safe haven for the protags. It remains full of life in their own corner of the world. So many NPCs are just living their own lives, full of their own worries and their own humanity. While its meager text presentation and objectives might give off the idea that these side quests are worthless, the text usually describes a person's quest as something of personal importance, making the world feel alive and worthwhile. It could also be criticized that it's full of tropes, but I think Xenoblade executes on those ideas with absolute precision and skill. There's a reason why those tropes exist, and it uses them to their fullest potential, whether it be crafting gems.
There we go! To you! Woo! There we go! To you! Woo! This is a good result!
Doing more side quests, or seeing special character moments, it always remains relaxing and rewarding to come back to this place. Its vibes and tones are unmatched, and it's one of my favorite places in all of video games. Truly one of the all-time greats of that console generation. The fact that this was pulled off on the Wii is simply astonishing. These examples, while they are some of my favorites, are pretty typical examples. There's a reason why towns like this are typical though, and that's because they set the standard, displaying different ways people come together and decide to live for their own reasons, but creating a community for one reason or another, or even just showing off the potential of how that setting can be, free from the conflict of its game. It's not easy to just make these kinds of places. A lot goes into the world design, concept, and tone. It takes a lot of effort, which should be lauded as much as its other aspects. I could go on and on about towns and other places like this, but we would be here all day. I want to get to other examples that don't particularly fit this mold, for one reason or another. Shoutouts to Stardew Valley, Style Savvy, and nearly all of Pokemon for fitting this vibe as a mission statement. This video could just be examples of areas and towns from those games, and it would be so much longer. Back to Final Fantasy, let's go into Tactics. FF Tactics is a little different from the rest of the series being, well, a tactics game. Its structure and style was way different than what had come before, which shows in its world map. It technically has multiple towns in it, but it's just an interface that gets you where you need to go via a menu. Once you go into these shops though, each one of these screens is immaculate. Just look at the attention to detail on display here. Each screen is a showpiece, and it makes a great place to recenter yourself and relax. The pub specifically is a great place to get info via some rumors, and it just has this hilarious track that plays that makes for a great place to get some reading in. Tactics has great in-game artwork, and focusing in on just making a visually dense still screen makes these places feel lived in, even if it is static. Atlus has made a lot, and I mean a lot of games, and most of those games underneath their catalog would be easy choices for this video. Anything from the modern Persona trilogy to a few places in mainline Shin Megami Tensei would make pretty decent choices or even great ones, but I want to show off something that's not nearly as well known, but equally valid. Digital Devil Saga was a duology that came out in the press-turn renaissance of the PS2 and was right after SMT Nocturne, which is why it looks so similar. The first game takes place in the Junkyard, where tribes fight for domination over what little they have in hopes that they can reach to the promised Nirvana. The world's default state is one of innate conflict. The first game has few safe areas in its land of warfare and cruelty, but your home base, Muladhara, is one of safety. It's your turf, your hometown. Your team always comes back here to come up with a plan, and each time they did as I was playing this game, I couldn't help but look at this never-ending cityscape. It's so fascinating to look at, with its unique architecture and music just establishing this super unique vibe that's not really anywhere else. And with the rain in the intro, mood established. There isn't a lot to explore or a ton to look at here, but what is here is so potent and memorable. It honestly still looks great. The PlayStation 2 had such killer aesthetics in its game library, and this is no exception. Going from the unknown to the iconic, Chrono Trigger doesn't really have traditional towns per se. While exploring the main overworld, however, when you get near a cluster of buildings, the music will change and you can enter some of the buildings nearby. The music in 1000 AD is just sublime, portraying peace times with perfection. This main town that the protagonist, Chrono, lives in is one of the most interesting because of how it changes throughout time. If you don't already know, Chrono Trigger is a time travel game, and traveling to different time periods will affect everything. The first time period you go to is 600 AD, 400 years in the past. While the town looks pretty similar, if the music is anything to go by, it's one that's completely foreign to Chrono. This song is fantastic, but it also showcases this emotion that Chrono is feeling when he comes back to find the world he lived in different, yet familiar. Seeing how even 1000 AD reacts to relative time passing and events happening makes it feel so alive, like bringing new party members to meet Chrono's mom. It's the definition of wholesome. These conversations are all so cute. While this stuff is pretty standard with tropes and RPG shenanigans, it's executed with bliss and perfection. These elements, along with the town being dynamic and the, once again, stellar music makes this an all-timer, but I guess these qualities apply to the whole game in hindsight. These previous examples are great and serve their purpose in the story pretty well. From hangout spots to hometowns, they serve to portray their places with unique culture and or coziness, and they excel in that. These places have so much artistry in them, so much effort going into portraying people living together. Other games can use their towns as more of a central figure for their narrative, and they are equally great in execution. Some use their coziness to set expectations, only to use that feeling to enhance their story. I want to talk about these specifically, so early game spoilers ahead for Shining Force 2, Suikoden 2, and Xenogears. If you haven't heard of Shining Force, I don't blame you. Sega needed more RPGs on their action and arcade-focused console, the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive, which, as an aside, is a pretty sick console name. So they, with Camelot as developers, made the Shining series, which are pretty decent games on the Genesis and onward. The Shining Force sub-series was a hit, and while I haven't played 3, 2 is my favorite, and its initial town is maybe the best on the system. If you're not familiar with the Genesis, just know that its sound chip is pretty decent at fast, grungy action music, but not at slower, peaceful music. Shining Force 2 pulls this off easily and is able to create a great, simple town that has a lot of heart. It really is simplistic and even a bit generic, but its execution is pretty great. Everyone is just worrying about their own personal troubles or interests, completely at peace. Now, this doesn't last, as the town, Grand Seal, gets consumed by a huge chasm, and you're forced to escape. There's a lot more that happens here that causes these events, but we can talk about that another time. This is the basic hometown gets destroyed trope that is pretty common in RPGs, and this is a pretty standard execution of that trope, but it's still effective. It's a common trope for a reason. Past this point, you can't come back until the end of the game, and it can create this homesickness that remains throughout the whole experience if you get invested. The home you get on the new continent is also chill, and it uses the same song, but it's still a replacement, never being the original. Moving on to the PlayStation 1, Suikoden 2 is one of the best games Konami put out in that gen. Now, this is saying a lot considering Symphony of the Night and Metal Gear Solid 1 are on the system, but I mean it. One very small aspect of this has to do with the main character's hometown, Chiaro. Now, to explain why this town is as effective as it is, we need to go into a little bit of context. Our two protagonists, Ryo and Joey, are both members of the Highland and their army's Unicorn Youth Brigade. They're excited to go home because a peace treaty has been brokered with the opposing state. However, in the dead of night, a false flag attack by the Highland themselves slaughters the Youth Brigade, with Ryo and Joey barely escaping with their lives, not completely understanding the situation. They both get rescued by some unaffiliated mercenaries, but escape. They were going to go home anyway, so might as well make it happen on their own terms, right? Chiaro is a beautiful town full of deceived people. While a small few are still empathetic to our two characters and tell them to escape, everyone else has fallen for the lie that the duo are traitors who sold out their platoon for their own benefit. They were sold out and were treated with disdain and scorn by most who lived there, people who both our characters all had relationships with. It displays how easily people can be whipped up into wanting violence, with this attack instigating the game's conflict. Regardless, even if everyone wants them at the very least gone, the duo is still home, and their want has been satiated, which I feel is reflected in the song that plays here, Homesickness. This song reflects Ryo's reluctance to finally be home, with the realization that he can never live here peacefully again, and it's reflected beautifully here, and it's one of my favorite tracks in the game. It's such a complex piece in this crucial moment, and its execution is fantastic. It's so evident that this town was a beautiful, secluded town, which is forever changed due to the slaughter of nearly an entire age group that was drafted to war. I'm not gonna go into what happens afterwards, but this moment is so special, and it all comes down to making this town a vehicle to tell the game's story. Keeping with homes and the PlayStation 1, Xenogears is an epic that I don't think I could ever do justice, but I can talk about Lahan, the opening town, for a little bit. While Xenogears' opening is full of intrigue and mystery, by the time you get control of your character right after an ambiguous scene, you are in the town of Lahan. Lahan is designed to be the coziest place imaginable. Its idyllic location on the continent means it is rarely visited by anyone who doesn't already live there, settling it as its own safe haven. The music is just sublime, with its jauntiness blended with this peaceful feeling that is incredibly effective. All of the people, well, almost all of them, treat each other with kindness and respect, even if things might get in the way of their true feelings. As stated in the game's intro, most of humanity is at war with itself, and it's been waged for so long that most don't even remember why they fight. While this intro might prep you for some immediate conflict, that's not what you get in Lahan. It's just the perfect town. It's too perfect. As Faye, our main character, goes to the mechanic who lives up on one of the mountains nearby for an errand, Lahan is attacked. Two sides who are fighting each other take their fight to Lahan for an unknown reason, and the town and its people are caught in the crossfire. As Faye and the mechanic, Citan, return to the town-turned battlefield, they try to get as many people out of there as possible when an opportunity presents itself. As Faye starts to combat his foes, one of his best friends gets shot and Lahan is gone. It is wiped from the map, and you can never return. And it's all your fault. While the intent of protection was the goal, unfortunately for Faye, actions speak for him, and everyone who lives there condemns him for destroying Lahan. Filled with immense guilt and self-disgust, he leaves the Meccan survivors, broken. As you go to the world map again, it really sets in. There's barely even ruins left. As you progress through the game, each town has problems, conflicts, and their own culture. While some places in Xenogears have a sense of normalcy for ordinary people, there aren't ever places of pure peace like Lahan, and it creates this stark contrast that persists throughout the game. Not to mention, flipping the trope of the destroyed town to the protagonist's fault is such a great subversion of it. It changes his character, establishes the tone, and it's just well directed, especially for its time. It's one of my favorite towns and moments in Xenogears, and this title is stacked full of great moments. Even with future cities implying this genius sense of scale, Lahan is probably my favorite. This is just something that really puts the world of Xenogears into perspective, how much the world kinda sucks, but has the chance to be so much more. I really enjoy towns in these games. The way they're used for their narratives, their vibes and OSTs, they're all crucial to the title's tones and stories. But they could take on a life of their own, going beyond serving their own individual purpose and becoming something greater than that. They can represent different cultures, show how people can change, for better or for worse, and can reflect the characters' journeys. But above all else, they display how even when a world is in turmoil and in danger, the world still has places and people that are worth protecting. While it's easy to get invested in these places and games, don't forget that it's the expression of developers who put their heart and souls into creating these experiences. Their knowledge and skill in expressing themselves in these games is incredibly admirable. And in an era of consolidation, layoffs, and disrespect to developers, it's important to keep the creatives in mind when you play something excellent. Cool games come from teams expressing themselves, because they also like this cool stuff they work on. Game dev is tough. They put years of their lives into these experiences, so remember them next time you're playing something that you really like. Getting something as niche as RPG Towns this good shows that they really care when it comes to crafting the whole experience and portraying peacetimes. It's a miracle games as good as Xenogears, Valkyrie Profile, and Suikoden 2 exist. And while some devs who made those games are still in the games business making games like Xenoblade, some don't get the chance to continue or even revive their work. Developers deserve the same security and safety that everyone else does, and I don't think that should be a big ask. So show some respect and remember them, because when they're gone, who else is gonna reminisce on their work if history forgets? Hey, I wanted to end the video there, but unfortunately we have one more thing to talk about that's much less important, but still bears mentioning. I was going to be covering Armored Core's 4th generation next, but things have been complicated. 5th Gen's second game, Verdict Day, is going offline on March 31st, and a lot of its features are primarily online. I've already gotten most of my footage for both 5 and Verdict Day, but therein lies the question. I could make a 5th gen video first, while my thoughts are still fresh and get the next video out faster. Or I could continue in chronological order with 4th gen, but have a longer wait between this vid and the next one. I would slightly prefer to do 4th gen first, but I recognize that it's been over 3 months since the last vid. So I'll be putting a poll on my channel if you want to vote on which one you want next, because ultimately I'm fine with either one. Regardless, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll see you later.